evening, everyone. So nice to see so many faces here tonight. I would like to start off our summer meeting by first thanking all of our administration, Dr. Gallagher, administration staff, our teachers, our custodians, for a positive and happily successful first week of school. Our kids were so thrilled to be back in their classrooms, and we thank everybody for all of their efforts to make it possible. I would also like to mention a wonderful award that our school district has received. We'll receive it sometime in the fall. It's the Scholar Athlete School of Excellence Award, and it's awarded to schools who 75% of their varsity team meet qualifications. So I think that's a wonderful accomplishment. I want to thank all of our teachers and our staff for doing that, and our students for all of their hard work. And now, a report of the superintendent of schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Conway. So, as you know, usually the assistant superintendents do the presentations, but since Dr. Ostrup wasn't actually even here last year for the committee, I said I would do the first one. So the first part of the presentation is the summary of our committee reports. And then the second part will be just a brief overview and update to the board on where we are in the strategic planning process. And that will be a part of every one of our board meetings from now through January. So last year we had several district-wide committees, and these committees all had between 20 and 30 people participating from various stakeholder groups. We're reporting tonight just a summary of the work that they did last year and their focus points for this year. The first committee was the Equity Committee. The subcommittees of that committee for last year were integrated student support, expanded learning opportunities, and family and community engagement. Almost all of the committees break into smaller subcommittees because we can get more work done and we can kind of create things that we can have some action on. So the Integrated Student Support Committee administered a family needs survey towards the end of last year, just to really assess where our families are and what some of the needs might be. When things like food insecurity, clothing, childcare, anything that our families are struggling with, that survey data will be used by our administrative team this year and our schools, and we'll start to look at some of the supports that we have and align them with some of the needs that the community identified. We also discussed the expansion of access to clothing and food. We want to create a beach books boutique using the Baton room in the public library. We still have to do a little work with the library on that, just in terms of format and how that'll work and who's going to monitor the clothing and how it'll be accepted. But we are hopeful to get that rolling this year. And finally, we looked at all of the dimensions of the community schools model, which is a great model for looking at how we provide support for our families and ensure that all of our students have equitable access to our programs. The Family and Community Engagement Committee actually worked with all of our external community partners to create a resource list of the services that they provide so that our social workers have access to that and can refer families to those organizations for support. And then finally, our Expanded Learning Opportunities Committee talked about a couple of different angles. First of all, expanding opportunities for our students in STEM, and a lot of those we were able to bring to fruition last year. I've talked probably endlessly about the space thing that our kids are going to do 6th grade this year. I might be the most excited 6th grader about the whole thing. We will be sending a microgravity experiment into space, and some of the other opportunities that we created for students. Engaged students are students who learn well. So engaging our students in real STEM learning is an important goal for us. We also talked about incorporating some of our larger concepts into the broader elementary community through our SPIRIT curriculum, and we revised our SPIRIT curriculum this summer to do some of that. And by our newly created WINGS period, which I explained to elementary parents in an email over the summer, and I'll be speaking to PTAs about. WINGS stands for What I Need to Grow as a Student, and it is a personalized learning period is the best way to talk about it. Some of our students will receive interventions during that period. Some of our students will stay with the teacher who helps them to do some extension and enrichment opportunities and grow. And finally, we created an amazing elementary enrichment program last year that all of our schools ran, tremendously popular. At its height, I think we had 500 kids involved in those programs, again, as a way to engage our students and help them to see the extensions of their learning outside of the classroom. You can see here, I won't read it to you, but some of the next steps that were recommended for our equity committee this year. And sometimes the committee recommends steps not for the committee, but for our schools. And some of the recommendations are for the future committee work. So we'll work on that as we start to meet with our committees. We'll identify realistic goals for our committees going into this year. Our mental health and wellness committee this year will be run by our PPS department. We focused last year on 3 different subcommittees: nutrition, physical fitness, and wellness, healthy decision-making, and finding balance and building resilience. All 3 of those, I think, important things for all of us in today's world. The Nutrition, Physical Fitness, and Wellness Committee talked about how we could procure more local and regional food items and incorporate them into our school meals. We started our Farm to Table initiative, and I still remember that beautiful picture of those delicious strawberries on the website. We hope to do lots more of that. And then, again, looking at educating our families. You know, if we're trying to provide healthy options in school, but our students are not eating healthy at home, we kind of want to have that, close that circle. And then finally, looking at ways that we can build greater opportunities for fitness and a buzz around fitness, like fitness fairs. Our healthy decision-making subcommittee, which I was on, looked at recommendations for additional prevention activities at the middle school and high school. I have to say, we were privileged to have on that committee some of our high school students who have founded their own high school wellness committee. And a lot of the conversation was how we could support those students in doing the work of wellness at the high school. We collaborated on looking at this Reach Out app, which is available online, and there's one customized for Long Beach High School. We are in the process of working with the app developer to add some local resources to it, and when that's all complete, we'll roll that out to our students in the fall. That's a picture of the app on my phone. And then finally, we talked about maybe some additional electives, health activities that we can incorporate based on what the students identified in the Wellness Council. The Finding Balance and Building Resilience Subcommittee surveyed faculty and staff about need. We recognized that coming out of COVID was difficult for our staff, and so we wanted to see what we could do to provide them with some assistance. And they were able to identify some of those things. They promoted the Feel Well Do Well project through Project Hope. They recommended resources for our new advisory sessions, and they are in the process of organizing all those resources into a compassion center in Google Classroom, where teachers can access everything kind of in one spot, which will be great. Recommendations for 2022-23, a more proactive approach to wellness. As I said, a wellness fair. We have some local fitness coaches who are excited to collaborate on us, put that on us. To expand the work to families, they talked about really trying to get families to take first steps in wellness. To look at working with this in a more consistent manner, that it's not just something you do and then put it on the shelf, and then to build on our Farm to School goals and our meditation programs that we introduced this year. The Curriculum and Technology Committee continued to focus on our work on Portrait of a Graduate. So this has been the work of this committee over the last 2 years. And you'll remember that last year we kind of outlined what that would look like at each grade level. This year what we did was take a look at exemplary instructional practices that align with each of those 10 items in each subject area, major subject area. So the work that we put together is actually available on the website, but it is hundreds of pages long. It's really resources for teachers. But I wanted to show you just an example. This is the science curricular area, and it's just 2 different of the 10 portrait of the graduate qualities. And you can see there are both the exemplary practices and then recommendations for both students and teachers. So it's really a great work, and each subject area did that kind of in-depth looking at how we can align our instructional practices. So I said to you before, there are some recommendations for schools, some for committee. You can see the schools will be working to roll out those instructional practices. The committee will be looking at focusing in this year on 3 qualities: voice and agency. And agency, sometimes educators use these words, you get hooked on the word. Agency is one of them. It means basically power over your own circumstances, independence and engagement. Those 3 qualities that we really want to encourage in our students. Mr. DeVito, I'll throw it to you for the Health and Safety Committee.
Thank you, Dr. Gallagher. What does the Health and Safety Committee do? Basically, it reviews health and safety concerns district-wide, anything that has not been resolved at the building level or at the district-wide matter. So we hope that, various school buildings, whatever the local safety concerns involved, dealt with at the building level. But sometimes it does come up at our district-wide meetings. We also explore long-term solutions that may take several meetings to flesh out and may carry over one year to the next. For example, we just completed the Leo complex traffic reconfiguration. That was something that came up in the Health and Safety Committee several years ago as, what can we do to make this complex safer? It also then went into what we did to make the high school area safer. And we did studies, we hired a consultant that we brought in, and again, it took several years to develop the plan and then implement it. And over this past summer, we completed the implementation. The only thing that we have to do before we have an official ribbon cutting ceremony is we're getting a nice new sign at the entranceway to the legal complex. And once that's installed, then we'll be able to say that the project is over. And already there's a lot of feedback from people who used to have to make that turn, that they're so grateful that we incorporated work with the town, part of the town and the county and the district to change the way the traffic is driven. So that was one of the big projects that we did, and that really came from the Health and Safety Committee's discussion. Points of entry is something that we talked about, and it's interesting, we've gone back and forth on points of entry, right? We were trying to make our buildings safer with one point of entry for a security perspective, and when COVID hit, we needed to really stray away from that because we didn't want everybody congregating into one area. And now we're trying to move back to that single point of entry again. We review safe workplace practices. Over the past couple of years, we've been working on COVID-19 protocols in an area that we can flesh out that information more in a more detailed manner. We use the committee as an opportunity to do that. And the committee consists of the various stakeholders of the district. We have teachers, we have union members, we have administrators. We have people from all the various departments throughout the district so that everybody can represent their interests. And the last thing that it does is it monitors capital projects. So what we need to do at each meeting is report on what's been done, what's in progress, and what's coming up in the future. I'd like to distinguish the Health and Safety Committee from the District Safety Team. They were related in the sense that they're composed of basically the same people, but the main focus of the District Safety Team is to prepare district's safety plan. And that is a general plan that we put on the website. And then that committee will review the plan annually. Tonight, we actually are starting a comment period, so it's on the agenda for this evening, so that different community members can express feedback on the plan, and then in 30 days' time, we'll adopt it for the 22-23 school year. And that's different from the building plans. So the building safety plans are confidential. We don't discuss those in public. We don't post those on the website. And that is the blueprint for each school about what to do with evacuations, lockdowns, with lockouts. And they practice those in the drills. The district safety, what the district safety team does with that district safety plan is more of a general nature. The next slide. I think that's Dr. Gallagher. That was it.
losing my voice and you sounded so much clearer, so I'll do the rest real quick with the microphone. As I said to you, at each board meeting, we'll be giving brief updates on the strategic planning process. Just to remind everyone, the strategic plan will define what the district will look like in the next 5 years, the high-level goals that we'll use to align all of our yearly action plans with, and they really serve as a blueprint for change. Just to kind of bring us up to date, I did present this briefly in the spring, but we are already through steps 1 through 4, which is great. I presented it to the board, to administrators, and introduced it to the community at a spring board meeting. We did form our steering committee, which met for the first time last night. We have representatives from all stakeholder groups in our steering committee. And we will, throughout probably the very beginning of October and to the beginning of November, be talking about the strategic plan and sending out lots of information on it. We're going to have 3 in-person focus groups, one in the afternoon evening, one in Spanish afternoon evening, and one in the morning. People who prefer in person come to those groups. But much of the data we collect is using a platform called Water Exchange, which allows you to have some limited conversations online about some of the ideas and goals that we'd like to identify as a district. We'll be sending home a series of emails with questions and instructions about how you can share your thoughts on the strategic plan. And we're really excited. We really want to encourage all members of our community to give their input. I think the plan is only as strong as community participates in it. And we really want to hear from people now that we're kind of through the period of the last, I don't want to say the C word, but you know what I mean, and get into really planning for our future for the district educationally and some of our goals for our students. The committee will finalize recommendations to the board in November, present their recommendations to the board in January, and then the board will be responsible for discussing and adopting the plan then. And I'll take any questions and comments from the board. Brian?
I just want to thank Dr. Calder and Mr. Trujillo for the presentation. I just want to express my gratitude for anybody and everybody who served on the committee. It's usually a thankless task. Volunteer to serve after school for these committees that can go for long periods of time. I just wanted to address the equity issue. As a board member for an extended period of time, I come to judge how the district deals with equity by attending a lot of extracurricular events. Whether it's a concert or a basketball game or a National Honor Society induction, I think we're falling short in terms of equity as far as our students are concerned. So I like the word engage, but I don't think we engage our students enough. I don't think we identify the kids with the best voices, because I think sometimes they just roam in the halls. In most districts, the best athletes also are roaming the halls. So I'm happy with the scope of the committee, but I do think we need to sit back and look at some of the products of our work. It's the same thing with science fairs and those kinds of things. I just don't think we're engaging students proportionally as they are represented in the district. And I just think we need to accept that challenge and to work on it and to engage those kids however best we can to participate more in those extracurricular activities and academic activities. Because we provide most anything and everything that is going on in this district. Somehow, not everybody is engaging, we need to get to go. So thanks to those who are stepping up and participating, all those stakeholders, and we certainly have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
I also have a couple of comments. Thank you so much for representing this. It was a lot of work from everyone in our district. I was fortunate enough to serve on one of the committees, and after school hours of talking to each other and working together through our work process. So we really did put our best foot forward when it came to our district. Everybody did. So I want to thank you for that. Regarding the emails that will be sent out with the water exchange, also as a parent, I miss emails unless someone tells me I'm getting an email. Will we be able to put it on our district website that these emails will be sent out to get attention to
It
it?
will be all over, it will be in our newsletter, it will be on our website, in Facebook. We may even use some of the mind apps. We really want to get the word out, and we discussed that in the community meeting last night, and really try to get people engaged in doing this. And the response, we'll probably send 3 separate emails with water exchange, with just 2 questions, so it's not going to be burdensome, and there's the open-ended questions, but we really want people to respond, so we're going to really publicize this.
Student organization announcements. Questions and comments from the public on tonight's agenda only. Treasurer's report for July 2022. May I have a motion for an approval of minutes for executive session and regular meeting on August 23rd, 2022?
Motion.
Second.
Dr. Ryan?
No discussion, I guess.
Oh, that's right.
I vote yes.
Any discussion? Mrs. Space?
Yes.
Ms. Verona?
Yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Presentations of the superintendent.
And Mrs. Conway, as the board to consider item 1, certificated personnel.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? I would just like to thank Ms. Marian Silvestro for all of her years of service to our district. Any other discussion? Dr. Ryan?
Yes, I vote yes.
Mrs. Pace?
Yes.
Mrs. Verona? Yes. Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And I'd like to happily introduce to the board and the community our new director of mathematics, Mark Lamar. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to start to be part of this community again. I used to live here and I'm just very happy to be back and serve the community in my capacity and with my passion for math. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And then ask the board to consider item 2, non-certificated personnel.
Motion made.
Second. Discussion? Dr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Pace?
Yes.
Ms. Verona?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And I'd ask the board to consider items 3 through 11 together.
I have a motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion?
I have a question.
Can I go? Yes.
On numbers 5 and 6 on the agenda, as well about the new crew team, the pilot crew team that we're having. What season is crew? If that's the info? It's fall and spring. So has our crew team started? No, I think once the board approved the 2 items tonight, Dr. Dennis Epstein will have an interest meeting with students and students interested, and then they'll start. So if it's a 10-week program, which I think it is from the contract, then if they don't start till October, they'll be doing it. I don't think it'll take till October. Okay, great. Okay, and I guess I'm not sure, number 5, okay, maybe this is the best way to put it. Could you just explain to me what number 5 is? So 5 is the award of the request for proposals. So this is an RFP. We only got one RFP from this company, so that's accepting an RFP, similar to when we accept a bid. Number 6 then is the approval of the agreement with that company, because once we accept the RFP, we have to have a contract with them that we approve. Okay, I guess that's the part I didn't understand, or I don't still. I mean, if we put out an RFP for legal fees, we don't accept an RFP and then sign a contract.
Or with bids, we don't accept the bid
It's
and
a
then,
little different with the company that's providing a service to our students. We were advised that we should have a contract.
okay. All right, and so my last question about this is, my second question about this is, I thought after many years of fighting with our former superintendent, that we were gonna put the amount of the contract into the agenda so that,
We were, Mrs. Berner, that's actually an error.
okay.
Yeah.
So, anybody who's interested, it's 22,000.
Yeah, I had asked for it to be there and I think it was just.
All right, because that just, if we wanna have transparency, then you need to have that information in there. All right, so my last question is, I see on number 6 that it says grant funded. I just want to confirm that the pilot crew program that we are instituting at the high school is completely grant funded. That's great, thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Ryan?
Vote yes.
Ms. Pace?
Yes.
Ms. Verona?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Any additional new and old business that from the Board of Education? Dr. Ryan?
Yeah, I just have two questions. I wanted to ask the superintendent. How the new PK program is working with West School.
Well, I was there on Friday morning and they were bright and sunny. I'll visit this week. Maybe they're not so bright and sunny in the afternoon, but I thought that they were happy to be there. Their teacher was thrilled. She said the building has been wonderful to them. The setup of the classroom is gorgeous. I see our principal and assistant principal in the back evening. It's been wonderful.
Great. That's great to hear. My second question is just concerning I call it the Biden money. I know there's some acronyms. And, how are we with the Biden money in terms of any money that's left over, and do we have any intentions of how we're going to spend it in the time period that we have to use it?
So, last June, we did make, it's a 3-year grant program. We did make some changes to our initial proposals and adjusted the grant amounts, forecasting what we think we'll spend this year. I would almost guarantee that we'll have to do that again, because we will look at the success of programs, the efficiency of programs, what additional needs that might arise, and we can reallocate funds if we need to do that, but it's the second year of the third cycle.
So approximately how much money do we have left in the pot?
Mr. DeVito, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, but if you want me to guess, I'm gonna say maybe about 2.5.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Verona?
I've heard from both administration and from the community that we have this new wings program as a new initiative for the extra time that our students are now in the elementary buildings during the day. So I'm wondering if we're going to have a presentation to the public about the wings program, and also do the parents get some kind of, other than at back to school night?
Yeah, so as I said before, I sent home an extensive explanation to parents over the summer. And I will be meeting with each PTA group throughout the fall just to answer any questions that arise with them. And we do have it on the board agenda for a presentation this spring.
Okay, great. My other question is, I was reading about the Stop Finder app that we now have as part of our transportation department, and no longer being the parent of the student, I don't know anything about it. So, assuming you have a student who's riding the buses, do you know about it? Has there been some kind of education campaign or information campaign to let parents know this app is out there and how to use it?
So Mr. Weaver, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when the bus passes were mailed home, there was information in the letter that explained the program. It's basically a GPS program attached to our buses. And at some point last week, parents received an email inviting them to sign up for the program so that they can, some of us do it, through other programs at home, but they can actually see where the bus is that their students assigned to. It's not perfect. Obviously, if that bus is out of service, there has to be some communication about changes, but I think it'll be helpful for parents I track my own kids' bus every day, and I find it very comforting to know when they're home, especially if I'm not. So I think, anything else?
In my day,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
in
so,
my day, you had to follow the bus.
Yes.
If you wanted to track.
so also in addition, I sent out a parent-linked email and text. And this past week, we rolled it out to the elementary families. Excuse me, last week we did that, and then this week we're gonna do it to the secondary. And for the most part, it's working. You know, we are getting a handful every day of people who are saying, you know, I'm having trouble with this or that, I'm trying to troubleshoot. But it's really a handful, and it's, you use it on your cell phone, just have to make sure that you're doing AM or PM. And again, in that letter that we sent, we give a very simple tutorial, and you just add the app to your cell phone. It's pretty easy. It's not that difficult, but we're happy to help any families that are having trouble. And then this week we'll also be rolling out to the private schools. We did pilot it at the end of June with certain families, and it seems to be working okay.
Excellent, thank you. Yes.
And I just want to make one comment. I just wanted to welcome new employees to the district. I know there's a few here in the room, so welcome. And I also just wanted to make a few comments at the beginning of the school year as a parent, a former teacher, and now somebody sitting on the Board of Education. I know what a tremendous effort it is to get everything running and everybody back to school. And so far, I just want to thank all the teachers, administrators, everyone involved, the bus drivers, the custodians, for a very smooth start. Very smooth start as compared to last year of this school year, and I hope it continues. So thank you all for your efforts. That's it.
I would just like to say that I'm very pleased with all the work that was done in the high school. It used to be a little difficult getting onto the campus, but with how now the roads have been changed, it really makes the traffic run much smoother in the morning and in the afternoon. And I know it was not easy to get it all done in time for our school district, for our school start, meaning that some supplies are late or we're still waiting for it. But the custodians and their staff really did a wonderful job, so thank you. Questions and comments from the public? And please remember, when you come up to the podium, please state your names and your address. Announcements, Long Beach Classroom Teachers Association.
Keith Albee, President of the Long Beach Classroom Teachers Association. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'd like to start off this year by thanking the board for their continued volunteerism and support for the community. I know this position for many of you is more than just volunteering, it's part of your character. So thank you again for that. I'd also like to thank the administration and our SRP workers for everything that they were able to accomplish over the summer to allow the faculty to come in and really hit the ground running. I'd be lying if I didn't say, like many other faculty members coming back this year, the hesitation for that first step through the door, but it was clear, it was very clear very quickly, the smiles on the faces and everything that was, everything that we were able to return to was really amazing. It was like, what we were proud of. And it's going to be a great year, and we're set up for really amazing things. So thank you again for everyone who was able to get this year off the run. I'd like to welcome our members. Our new math director here this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Administrative, Supervisory, and PDS Group. BCA. Oh, sorry.
Keith Egan, President of ASBTG. As on behalf of our unit, we'd like to thank the school board for their support for teachers, staff, administrators, all stakeholders in the district. We'd like to thank Dr. Kramer, Bones and Grouse, getting Bones ready for the school year. The Bones were beautiful coming in. Teachers were happy. The staff is happy for that. We thank Leonard Garcia and Allied Security, making sure students are safe, coming to school, making sure the buildings are ground safe. Also, I think Dr. Gallagher and Central Admin for the 5-year strategic plan, developing that for to next 5 years, and we enjoy pushing that out. Also, congratulations to our new staff director, Dr. Clark. welcome to our district. Thank you.
Thank you. ODCA?
Good evening, Barbara Vahey, Vice President of LZSCA.
ODCA, sorry.
Okay. We would like to thank everyone involved for a wonderful school opening. It was a great week. We'd like to say congratulations to those retiring and those appointed. And we'd like to welcome Ms. Martin and all our new employees. And here's to a great year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parent Teacher Association?
Hi, I'm Stephanie, I'm CCPTA president. It was very quiet this week on my end, and I didn't hear as much of it, which is good. It was a really nice, smooth week. All the kids seem to be happy, and thank you to all of you and the teachers, and welcome to our district. I'm looking forward to a great year.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.